Okay, today I'm gonna give you 11 truths about the RV life. Some are good, some are not so good, but all of them you should know before you jump in both feet and hit the road full time. Honestly guys, I wish I would have had this video this time last year when I was in the research phase of things, and I got a long laundry list of chores to do today, so let's go ahead and get started, and let's go ahead and dive into truth number 1. Starting with, life changes, but not as much as you would think. But will it change all that much? And here's the thing, your life will obviously change, no doubt about that. But will it change into some magical fairy tale traveling adventure with beautiful mountainscapes in the background every single night and campfires with marshmallows every single evening, which is so romanticized in the RV world? Probably not. In all honesty, after a couple of months on the road, you're gonna sink into your new reality and you're gonna think, this routine I have now is sort of similar to the one I've had back home. And truth be told, I do roughly 50 to 70% of the same things I did this time last year. And that's okay. As a human, I think we naturally seek routine, and me myself, I know I need a routine. So give yourself a little bit of grace if you ever find yourself in that, why doesn't this feel like Into the Wild? Don't get me wrong. You're gonna have your fairy tale moments like we have this year, but don't expect some endless version of Alone like I did this time last year. And truth number 2, it's not as cheap as people make it seem to be. And actually, I just made a video about this very topic, and it compares our first 6 months on the road in an RV versus 6 months living in an apartment. And spoiler alert, the RV was a tad more expensive. So after this video, go and watch that one. I'll link it right here. You'll often hear that RV living is a little cheaper than living in a house or living in an apartment. And don't get me wrong, it can be. For example, if you have your RV paid off and your truck paid off, the only real things you have to worry about is the memberships, the gas, food, and entertainment, really. And so if your dreams happen to outweigh your budget at the current moment, you have 2 options. Option 1 is you can just save up for everything and buy it cash. That's gonna take a very long time on a normal budget because you got other things you gotta commit to as well as far as your income. Or option 2, you save up a decent sizable down payment on the RV and the truck and you hit the road in a couple of years. That's what we did, but you know, choice is yours. And obviously we did the latter. Because as they say, you only get to live once and life waits for no one. And there's also other things you're gonna have to take into account for whenever you're saving up for this, like repairs, accidents like we've had, accessories for your RV, and cost of goods that can wildly vary from state to state. So take that into account when you're planning. And that's coming from an apartment life where you can call the maintenance guy for literally anything and have it repaired for free. But the good news is, if you work from home and you can survive on your current budget, you'll likely be okay when on the road on the same finances. Glad we got the RV washed. That's been driving me crazy for a few weeks, so we gotta go inside and take care of another project. That's part of the gig. And truth number 3 is that it takes a lot of work and consistency to keep the RV in good standing. And I'm on the second project today, which involves the shower. The wall's starting to come apart from the, I guess the outer wall here, the bathroom wall. And I have to put the bathroom wall, or the shower wall back together. So I'm not really a big handyman, but I guess we'll figure this out. Number 4, you look forward to non-travel weekends. As much as you're gonna look forward to hitting the road and checking off things on your bucket list, there will come a day or a month to where you're gonna look forward to just not doing anything and catching up on one thing: rest. Fatigue set in pretty early for me this year, and it was about early March, somewhere around that time frame, I just developed a desire to just not want to do anything for a little while, and we did just that. So we were in northern Arizona on Kabeb Paiute Reservation, and we stayed there for a little over a month and got to hang out and see some places around town before we made a trip over to California, and it was absolutely amazing. While we were there, we got to catch up on our routine, we got to develop a routine, we got a washer and dryer, and we got to see some of the national parks nearby. Also, non-travel weekends are used to catch up on maintenance, catch up on washing the rig, catch up on washing Appa and getting him maintenance. So it's not necessarily always on the go every single weekend. Unless you're one of those social butterflies and have a friend in every single state that you're gonna go visit who's willing to come meet you out no matter where you're at, chances are your social life's going to take a little bit of a hit. And Jess and I, his friends, are all back in North Carolina, with the exception of a few that are out in Salt Lake City, which we can't wait to go see. That's here in a couple of weeks. And honestly, making friends on the road is kind of tough, because maybe it's just because I have the social skills of the Grinch, and everyone that you meet is just kind of passing through. So if you meet somebody somewhere, you know you're going to be moving in 2 weeks anyways, or a couple of days anyways. So it's really hard to build a stable friendship. And other RVers that we meet, it's just usually a hi, share your travels, which is nice. I love hearing about people's travels, but then that's really about it. You just kind of pass out your social medias and you follow and keep up with each other from there. And when we meet other van lifers and other people out on the road, we always have a good time sharing each other's stories, and I love listening to other people's stories. But at the end of the day, everybody's heading a different direction you are usually, so it's just kind of a hi, how you doing, share your story, and goodbye. Stay safe. So I feel like I've given you guys a lot of reasons to run away from the RV life, but I also want to share some truths that are in a positive light for the RV life. And starting with truth number 6, calling the entire United States your backyard. Road tripping the United States has made it feel a lot more accessible, and just knowing we'll be somewhere new in just 2 weeks gives me an incredible feeling to be a nomad. Also, knowing that this isn't just some 2-week vacation. I used to hate that feeling when I would come back, or the last 2 days of a vacation, you would come back knowing, I gotta return back to the office and do this over again. Yeah, I have to work during the week, and technically I haven't really used any PTO because I haven't really needed to. I get to use all the weekends, and I'm out here now. And that's one of the most gratifying feelings of being out here and being on the road, is knowing that this ends when you want it to end, not end because it has to end. We're still figuring out 2025's route and schedule right now, and I think we'll worry about that a little bit more when we get back from Japan. And spoiler alert, we are going to Japan at the end of November, which is going to be crazy. I'm super excited for it. And when we come back from Japan, we'll spend the holidays with our family, and I think we're going to leave around the second week in January and hit back on the road. But if I may say, I think our route this year was pretty spot on. I think it was pretty perfect. We spent the winter down in the Southwest in Texas and Arizona, and then as it got warmer, we head up north to Pacific Northwest in Oregon, Seattle, and we spent all of summer up there, where it's a lot cooler. It's a lot cooler now. We're in Spokane, and it is just what it might be 60-65 degrees right now, and it is an absolute great time. In the end, being a nomad has been a dream of Jess and mine's for a very long time, and I'm very honored and proud to say that we get to live this lifestyle. On to truth number 7, and that is living in a 400 square foot RV isn't as bad as you think. I believe this comes from Jess and I's prior experience of living in an apartment for about 5 years, and the apartment that we lived in was 900 square foot, and we felt fine. Like, we didn't really need to have anything bigger. We could have used maybe 200 or 300 square foot, but other than that, we were fine. And that was one of our biggest concerns coming into this, was how are we going to react in a very small confined space, especially with 2 dogs. We had 3, but we were able to rehome 1 with one of our friends. And how we were going to react with that, with working and having all the desktops, all the stations just where they're at. And honestly, it's a tiny bit cramped. You notice the feeling, but it's not as bad as you would think. Even on rainy days where we're forced to stay inside, we just have our spots where we kind of stay. I'm usually editing and she's usually watching TV or reading a book, and that's really how it goes. But the cool thing with RVs, just like apartments and houses, is you can get one as small as a van, or you could get something as large as a Class A or a 42, 43 foot RV. I heard there are some 50-foot RVs coming. I have no idea how you're going to fit those. Campgrounds don't even accept much of anything over 40 feet. My advice on this would be to go tour some RVs at a dealership, maybe even rent one for a long extended weekend, maybe like Memorial Day or Labor Day weekend or so, and see how you like it. Really try to imagine yourself living in that. And you know where I'm going with this. Just try to really get an idea of where your kitchen items would be, where your bedroom items, and where your extra storage would be, and just kind of get like a memory or just like a visual layout of where everything would be at. So let's talk about number 8, and that is you don't have to rely on social media for income if you want to go do the RV life. In all transparency here, Jess and I do aim to make social media our business and to be able to rely on it as a source of income. And quite honestly, I've been doing photography as just a hobby of mine for quite a few years now, and I love it. I love making films. I love being able to share with you guys, and I know at some point it will become a source of income for us. But just because we have aspirations and dreams and stuff like that doesn't mean that those things alone pay the bills. And going back to truth number 2, to where this isn't a cheap lifestyle, so we need something in the meantime that will pay the bills to keep us going until this whole dream thing of ours takes off one day. And you'll need some form of income as well, unless this is just some side mission in life of yours and you're well taken care of in your finances. And the good news is that there is a ton of remote jobs out there for you. And I originally got my degree in mechanical engineering close to about 4 or 5 years ago now. And for the past 4 to 5 years, I've been working in that related field. And to be able to get on the road, I had to switch my career to healthcare, which was sort of a career suicide, if I must say. And for me, it was the only remote position I was able to find. And funny story about that is because our leave date was January 6th. That was I think it was Friday or Saturday. That was our date to leave and hit the road. I actually didn't find a remote job until about early to mid-December. And this is after applying all summer and all fall, getting rejections. And I think actually Jessica found the job off of some site. And then I got an interview. And then I think on the second interview with the manager, I was hired on the spot. And I couldn't say no because the only job that was fully remote and that could provide a secondary source of income along with Jessica. And it started on Monday, January 8th. So we literally had a good 2-day weekend somewhere around there. I think we left on a Friday. And we left from North Carolina to Texas, and we got there on a Sunday and clocked in on a Monday morning for the first time. All summer and all fall, we were a little nervous because of all the rejections that we were getting as far as the jobs, and we thought we were going to have to go into this with Jessica just working and bringing in a source of income, and I was going to be working on YouTube full time, and we were honestly going to keep that a secret for a while until YouTube did start generating some money. But luckily, everything came together on time. Fast forward 9 months later, and our 2 incomes are able to pay for the bills for everything that we need. We get our groceries, we can afford to save, and we can afford to go out and have fun. So to say we have had a blessed past 9 months would be an understatement. All right, I think the sun's going down. It is time for me to get up and go back inside. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about number 9, which is you don't have to have your route planned all at once. That was the biggest mistake I made coming into this, is you can kind of have a little bit of leniency with planning your route. And that's one of the biggest things I spent the most time on this time last year, was trying to spend a couple of months planning the first 6 to 8 months of our schedule. And that's honestly unnecessary. And the biggest reason why is plans change all the time, and you don't want to get penciled into something that you don't really want to commit to, or it was just a placeholder just to get you somewhere else. That can wait till a little bit later. And this is what I would personally do, is make a list of all the places that are non-negotiable. Secondly, make a route to and from all of those places. And thirdly, reserve all of the non-negotiables as much as you can. Fourthly, revisit the schedule if you didn't get all of your non-negotiable. And then number 5, pencil in the rest of that. So all that means is come up with a list of things that you really want to see next year in 2025. And they'll probably be far apart from each other, like Zion and Glacier and all these places. And then find some spots in between there and leave those spots open. Leave those dates open. But if you want to stay near Zion, go ahead and pencil that reservation in. If you want to stay near Glacier, pencil that place in. Go ahead and get all the big ticket items that you want to see out the way with, and then just kind of leave everything else on a tentative schedule. And truth number 10, travel days are fun, or at least they can be. You know, funny thing about that, because I actually look forward to travel days. Jess has a slightly different opinion, but I think that stems from just having to be in a truck too long at one point in time. You know, our travel days can be anywhere from 4 hours on a good day to 6 hours or 7 hours on a long day. But to me, travel day is one of the core components of the RV life. Just being out on the road, you got your rig right behind you, everything that you own behind you, and you're just seeing all the vastness that America has to offer. And you're just seeing everything 1 mile at a time. I mean, it's just such a, I don't know what feeling I'm feeling right now. It's not nostalgic, it's something though. And truth number 11, it will not be the same experience for everybody. And that's what makes it special. Quite possibly the piece that makes this whole experience worth it and unique is that everybody you meet will have a different story. Guaranteed. No matter if you talk to 10 people at the same campground, all of those 10 people are going to have a different story than you. There are other folks who are more regional based, who only stick to one region and they full time just in that one region only. There are other folks who just kind of go back and forth between 2 campgrounds, and that's okay. And then there are people like us who just want to see the entire darn country. Like, that's just our goal, our mission. All in all, these are the 11 truths that I would like to share and the things that I would have liked to have known whenever I first got started. But I do know there are a ton of other truths out there that Jess and I haven't even discovered. And I typically learn best from other people's perspectives and their experiences, which is why with every truth, I wanted to provide a little bit of my own context alongside of it. And if you find yourself preparing to leave at the beginning of the new year or sometime next year, if there's one bit of advice I would like to leave you with, and that would stick with you, is going back to the whole don't worry about the schedule and routing side of things. I bog myself way down too much with that. So just leave that maybe 60 to 90 days at a time and you'll be fine. But of course, do keep in mind that you do need reservations for certain spots. Like if you want to get Florida in the winter, that's going to require at least 6 months to 8 months out. Some places even a year out. Or if you want to stay at like a national park campground or like a state park campground, they typically do reserve quite well in advance. My other bit of lasting advice here would be to empty the fridge out before travel days. Jess and I have learned that lesson quite a few times, that if you carry even a semi-stocked fridge, it's going to end with a lot of broken shelves, and we've been there. I think we've lost one cabinet shelf and just one standard shelf so far. And if you're a full-timer and you know we missed something about these 11 truths, please let us know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Or if you have any more questions, leave them down below and I will answer as best as I can, along with a few other full-timers who follow the channel too. And thank you guys for hanging out with us today. And I hope I was able to answer some questions or maybe even give you some general advice or some kind of direction with your planning. And if you did find some value in this video today, feel free to give a subscribe and a thumbs up to this video, as it really does help out. As we release weekly videos every single Sunday, usually about RV travel, but we'll sprinkle in some RV tips here and there as well. So peace out, much love, and we'll see you next Sunday.